Hi, my name is Shane. I'm a conservator, restorer, and repairer of furniture and wooden objects. I work mostly here at Studio Conservation on Gadigal land in Sydney, Australia, but I've also had the privilege of traveling and working in different countries around the world, including Japan, the Netherlands, the UK, the United States. In my time, I've been able to look at a huge variety of wooden objects and wooden surfaces, and I've really come to love the variety of different surfaces that I've seen, the variety of finishes and finishing techniques that I've seen. I've become so enamored with it that I've spent a lot of time trying to understand as many of these different techniques and finishes as I can, trying to understand what I'm looking at when I see an old surface, but also what's going on when I try and finish a new one. In my digging around though, I keep finding this one question being asked by people, which is, what is the best finish? And this question is wild to me. As someone who loves the variety of finishes that I've seen, it's like asking what's the best food to have for dinner. Even if I had a favorite food, I wouldn't want to have it every night for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't expect everybody else to have it all the time. Finishing is the same. There's a great variety of options out there that will suit different people or different projects or different needs. So I'm gonna dig into this subject a lot further, and I'm gonna try and share what I find with all of you to help kind of expand all of our understanding of finishes and the variety of techniques. The subject I want to look into, the history of these materials. I want to look into the science behind these materials, the art behind these materials, and the various techniques that accompany them. The subject I want to explore is massive. It's so massive that I've had to enlist the help of a few people to help me out. I've also been speaking with a number of people from around the world so that I understand what I'm talking about before I tell it to you. The subject I want to explore is honestly so massive that I'm not sure we are ever going to be. So we're going to be looking at a range of natural and synthetic materials over the course of this series, as well as decorative techniques. And so for each material, what I'm hoping to do is make a small object or piece of furniture that I'll be able to demonstrate those techniques and materials on. Now, I don't want to give the impression that this is going to be the end-all be-all of finishing knowledge. There's a lot of great resources out there on finishing, great books and videos that you should explore. But what I'm hoping to do is just create a solid educational resource that helps deepen your understanding of finishes and materials and techniques. Before we get started though, I have a few questions I want to make sure that we answer and clarify. Look, I'm trying not to put anything in this series that isn't useful to know, but you can achieve great finishing results without knowing a lot of the things that I'm going to cover. If you're working in restoration or conservation, then this is going to be more useful to you. But I've known a lot of people who are really good at their jobs without having dug into this to the same degree that I intend to. That said, I do think that what I'm going to cover and what I've been exploring is really valuable. As I dig into it, I find it really useful in helping me understand what I'm doing a lot more. I should mention though that as we build this series, we're building this information in kind of a cascading approach. When trying to figure out how to teach the history and science and chemistry of these materials, it's been really tricky for us to figure out where to start and how to make sure you get the information you need in a concise way. While we would have loved to have built it so that you could drop in and just watch the waxes episode or just watch the varnishes episode, these subjects really benefit from building on each other to create a broader understanding or a larger understanding of this subject. Our waxes episode, for instance, serves as the basic introduction to polymer and chemistry science, and then that information becomes really valuable later on when we get to varnishes and oils and other materials. It turns out chemistry is really important to understanding finishes. Now, I'm not a chemist myself, but in doing this work, I have had to study and start to understand chemistry in order to be able to answer some of the questions that come up a lot. In the same way that understanding wood grain and texture helps with the woodworking aspect of things, getting into understanding the chemistry behind the materials that are in different finishes is really helpful for answering a variety of questions that I come upon in my work all the time. Why is this degraded the way it did? Why is this finish behaved the way it is? Why did this go wrong? Why did this go right? The tools for understanding the answers to those questions are often found in understanding the chemistry behind these materials. So I know that chemistry can be really intimidating to a lot of people. It was very intimidating to me when I had to dig into it. But we've tried to make sure that what we talk about when we talk about chemistry here is based around trying to help explain and understand these materials better so that we can work with them more efficiently. Great question. We're going to start by talking about wood itself. We're going to do a first episode which is just getting to know the surface of different timbers, trying to understand what's going on the surface of a piece of wood before we even apply anything to it. Then we're going to go through waxes, oils, natural resins like shellac and colophony. We're going to talk about oil varnish blends. We're going to look at urethanes and alkyds and nitrocellulose, epoxies, and we're going to look at waterborne finishes at the end. We're also going to look at pigments and paints and dyes and different ways of coloring things. And we're going to look at decorative techniques along the way, such as carving and marquetry and proportion. I've tried to make sure we cover as much as possible for an introductory series. I've actually tried really hard to avoid using or mentioning any specific brands, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, I'm in Australia and I've been in a number of different places, and different materials go by different names all around the world. So I think it's really important to try and understand the materials as themselves rather than relying on a specific brand or a specific supplier. I'm not here to try and sell you anything. I just want to share what I've learned about these materials. So for instance, in the oils episode, I'll be talking about linseed oil and I'll be talking about tung oil, but I'm not going to be discussing which supplier of linseed oil or tung oil I've used. But I do want to give you the information, such as with tung oil, so that you know that material, and so that you know when someone's selling you something that's called tung oil, you can determine whether or not that's really tung oil or not, which is a bit of an issue. 10 years ago, I was running a small woodworking shop doing repairs, and I was just getting started in this field. And I was very confused by all the materials that I saw in the hardware store, by all of the different objects that came through my shop that seemed to behave differently, by all of the different pieces of advice that various people were giving me. I wasn't always certain what I could trust or what was going on, and I was nervous about whether or not if I mixed this solvent with that solvent, my shop would explode. So I have spent a lot of time learning how to do my job better and answering these questions for myself. Like I said, I've traveled and tried to learn as much as I can. I've had the opportunity to work with different people and to study this specifically. And I want to create the resource that I wish was there when I got started. Something that helps clarify with solid answers what these materials are and what's going on and where they came from and how they're used. Many of you probably don't have the capacity to spend years traveling and learning and working. And so what I would like to do is take my time having done that and use it to produce something that's useful for you to be able to start answering those questions and to build a better understanding of these materials. I really hope that's what we're doing, and I'm really looking forward to putting that out there for you.